Alright, so I'm going to demonstrate exercises for week 2 of the month-long corrective exercise program. For the inhibition, I'm going to do 3 exercises, all self-myofascial release. The first one is going to be for the calves to get the gastroc and soleus. So for that, you're going to place the foam roller just on the back of the lower leg. And then from here, you're going to slowly roll with the foot relaxed. Make sure not to keep that dorsiflex. You want to keep in the plantar flex position. So you're going to roll until you find a tight spot. And from here, you're going to hold it for 30 seconds. You can adjust the pressure by either putting your butt down to decrease the amount of pressure or tension you put on that tight spot or the adhesion. You can lift your butt up, and you can even pin it down if you want to put your other leg over on top of this one. So you're going to hold that for roughly 30 seconds. And then we're going to move to the next one, which is going to be, we're going to work on getting the hip flexors, specifically the rectus femoris on the quadriceps group. So for that, you're going to take the foam roller and you're going to lay on top of it. And then you get on your forearms, and you're just going to search out those tight spots in the front of that hip. So once you find that right here, is where I had it. You're just going to hold that for 30 seconds. If you need to increase the pressure and focus more specifically on one leg at a time, you can either get a smaller foam roller or you can just slide it over and just adjust that one leg at a time if you have to. Make sure they're on their forearms, not up on their hands in an awkward position. So make sure they stay in that straight line. Then after that one, we're going to do the piriformis. So for the piriformis, you're going to take the foam roller and you're going to put the desired leg that you're trying to foam roll over the top of your other knee, and then you're going to seek out that piriformis on this side. So you can bring that knee towards your opposite side of your chest to expose that piriformis a little bit more. And you're going to find that fleshy area come on the side of your butt cheek. Right here, you can go down to a form if it's more comfortable. Just find a tight spot and just sit there. You could increase the pressure a little bit more if you're not getting it there by putting that knee flat, the opposite foot flat, bending the knee. You should hold that for 30 seconds, and once you're done with those 3 things, you're going to move to the lengthening exercises. Alright, so for the next exercise, was the next step to continue. We're going to do lengthening exercises. We're going to do 3 lengthening exercises in week 2. We're actually doing the same lengthening exercises through the whole program. I'm demonstrating in week 2 right now. So we're going to first start off by stretching the gastroc or soleus. We're going to focus on the gastroc for the purpose of this stretch. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that desired back foot is pointing forward. You're going to keep that heel flat. And then you're leaning forward, keeping that knee locked out until you feel stretch. You should feel a stretch in the lower leg on the back side of it and the calf. So you're just going to hold that for 30 seconds, making sure that foot's flat and the foot is not rotating out. So after you hold that one for 30 seconds, we are going to stretch the hip flexor. So for the hip flexor, we're going to get to a kneeling position, a half kneeling position. Try to keep them as in line as they can while staying balanced. And the most important part of this stretch is when resting, they're going to most likely be an anterior pelvic tilt. Most people always have a slight one, so you want to really initiate that posterior tilt of the pelvis. So you're going to activate the core and squeeze that glute. By squeezing the glute, you should already feel a stretch in the hip flexors right there because you're reversing the action and causing that pelvis to pull a stretch on it, especially the rectus femoris. So from here, keeping that posterior tilt, you're going to lean forward if you need to for a little bit more stretch. Make sure you stay upright. And then you can increase the fascial component by just getting an overhead reach, reaching across. So just going to hold that stretch for 30 seconds, making sure to keep that tilt intact. And the last static stretch we're going to do is to get that piriformis that we released. So you're going to have them lay on their back, and we're going to try to stretch the right piriformis with this demonstration. So you're going to cross the right leg over the left, and then you're going to grab that knee, and you are pretty much trying to pull it to the opposite shoulder. Trying to keep your back flat against the ground and feel that stretch along the outside side of your glute. So you're going to hold that stretch for 30 seconds as well. And then after that, we're going to move on to activation techniques. For the activation exercises for week 2, we're going to progress a little bit from week 1. Week 1 we're using bridge on a bench just for a little more stability. So we're progressing that to what I'm going to demonstrate now, which is the bridge on a stability ball. Just to increase some of the activation requirements of it. So for the bridge on the ball, you're just going to rest your upper back on top of this physio ball of your choice. And from here, you're going to use your glutes to kick your hips up. You're going to squeeze at the top and slowly control it back down. So it's going to be 2-second count up, hold for 2, back down for a 4 count. During this, you want to make sure their knees are not collapsing in. Try to keep those knees in place and just initiate the movement just with those glutes. So after that, we're going to move to a wall slide to activate the glute medius, which we progressed a wall slide from a clamshell just to increase the difficulty a little bit with the lever arm being moved further away from your center of gravity. So for the wall slide, what you want to make sure and do is to recommend you get up against the wall just to make sure you're not moving that hip in flexion, just to keep that hip in extension as much as you can. So you're going to lay on your side. You're going to get that bottom leg bent, foot flat against the wall if you can. Keep your back, butt, and head flat against the wall if you can, just make sure you're keeping contact. And then you're going to drive that heel back against the wall as well to make sure you're keeping that extension. So from here, you're going to make sure you don't want to externally rotate that foot. So you're going to keep that foot as straight as you can. And you're going to lift it. And then control it back down. So you're just going to move it into abduction for 2 count. Hold it for 2. Slowly back down for 4. And depending on someone's flexibility or strength, they may be able to get more motion out of this. You just want to make sure that they're moving properly. Don't force more motion than they can do at the time. All right, and after that, we're going to work on activating the stabilization muscle of the core. So for week 1, we were in a quadruped position, but you'll see in the programming they did arm raises, which is a little less taxing and requires less activation. Just do this, allow your stability to come from your legs and then wane a little bit more. So we're going to progress to a leg raise, not quite the opposite arm, opposite leg yet. So you're going to get them in a quadruped position, arms shoulder width apart underneath those shoulders. You want to flex that core, make sure your back is flat, keep those shoulders packed. And from here, what you're going to do is just one leg at a time. You're going to kick that leg straight back, trying to keep your core as stable as you can. And returning the leg back down. So you're just going to alternate those legs, just trying to keep from swaying as much as you can. And once you're done with those activation exercises, you can then move to the integration exercises we have for the week. The first integration exercise, we are going to use lateral band walks still that carry over from week 1 just to really get those glutes integrated. So you're going to want to keep the band just right above the knee. And from here, you're going to really push those knees out to keep that glute activated, get in a slight ready athletic position, and then you're just going to slow walk. Lateral steps, make sure you're getting set. Those knees over the toes. So you're going to do that both ways, and then when we're done with that, we're going to move on to the ball squat with press, which is progressing from week 1, which we just did the ball squat. So at this point, we're going to just challenge the core a little bit more. and require more stability to be a component of it by adding the overhead press into the squat. So you're going to place that ball mid to low back, get your feet shoulder width apart, feet pointing forward. You're going to take the weight, you can hold them in a neutral position, rotate position, make sure you're not going to hit a ceiling like I talked about too. And then there's also add some resistance to the squat just by having these weights. So from here, you're going to squat down wherever's comfortable, come up, add overhead press to it. So make sure those feet are staying straight. You don't want to lean too much into the ball. That would be a normal, natural squat position. You're going to squat down, press up. Once we're done with that, we're going to do some core integration, and for that I like to use loaded walks or carries. So the first week we did farmer walks, which is a little more common variation, a little less taxing. Get that ball out of the way. We're going to do a front mat carry, which you can, it's easier if you have kettlebells, but if you have dumbbells you can do it as well. All you're going to do is get that weight, you're going to put it on the front of your body, kind of like you're doing a front squat. Make sure you're activating that core, get those intrinsic stabilization muscles going. And you want to try to control your body and see if you can integrate it by keeping that core stable while having the lower extremities moving. So you're going to turn around and go back. And by doing that exercise, you're more so mimicking core stability that's needed during athletic competitions or other activities, just because you are moving the extremities, which is the job of the core to maintain stability while you're doing those activities. So those are the exercises for week 2, week 3, and 4 progress from those. Just the different variations, we're really focusing on addressing the same muscles, just in different ways to keep the client engaged and add a little variety. But that's all for this week's video.